I'm gonna gripe a little bit about Ferguson. This is just one hot mess after another. Um, Obviously, the cops do not have their story straight. Uh, they said that this kid, Mike Brown, who was tragically shot and killed last week, attacked a police officer, and the police officer turned around and shot him to death. Um, Mike Brown's friend, who was with him at the time, turned around and ran, but supposedly they were running together. And Mike Brown, the original story was that he was shot in the back, but a witness said that he turned around at the last minute to face the cop and was shot in the front, which explains why all of the bullet holes penetrated the front. And some theorists say that the reason why he was shot in the arm was because he was putting his arms up. You know, maybe to try and deflect the bullets or whatever. You know how people are, and they get crazy, and suddenly an elbow becomes a bulletproof shield. I mean, it's a natural thing. So, you know, the conflicting reports about the eyewitness situation just go to show how terrible the situation was reported, and is partially the reason for the protest to begin with, because there's absolutely zero transparency. It's just like the Boston Marathon bombing, when the FBI went to Todashev's house and gunned him down and said, "Oh well, he raised a broom at us. He was going to attack us with a broom." And the guy said, "Oh, he used a teapot. He was going to attack us with a teapot. Oh no, he had a knife. Oh, Todashev is an MMA fighter, and he was going to use his hands to crack 7 FBI agents' skulls. We had to gut him down." And then they completely blocked off any attempts to get to the autopsy. So, and the death of the older brother, the older Zaharniev brother, who was supposedly killed by the younger brother in his getaway attempt. And there are stories saying that no, that's not true. He was just shot. But the cops had him. They stripped him, and they said, "Oh well, we're just gonna kill you because you blew up a kid, so we're gonna shoot you in the head." And then of course the kid hiding under the boat, and they said, "Oh, he had a gun," and then it turned out he didn't have a gun. He had no explosives or anything like that. They just found him all busted up. And then they told him to shut his mouth, and he would never be able to talk about his side of the story. And if it weren't for that one cop who leaked the photos, we would have never found out what really happened. So I mean, it's just a history of the thing. The authorities have absolutely no respect for you or me. They don't care. It's like they say, they don't work for you. Honestly, I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you work for the state. I don't care if you work for the man. I don't care who your employer is. The fact of the matter is, my tax dollars feed your kids. So if you don't tell me the truth, then I'm not going to like you. And that may not mean anything to you. One person not liking you doesn't mean a goddamn thing to you. I understand that. I respect that. Because, if one person didn't like me, I wouldn't care. But, if 100 million people didn't like me, I would be a little concerned. And, of course, the response to that by the police is to militarize the police. And they think, well, this is going to quell everything, and everybody's gonna chill the fuck out once we see our APCs rolling down the streets of Ferguson, and you're all gonna fucking go to your homes. But that's obviously not the case, because they're still out there, and they don't give a fuck about the curfew. They don't give a fuck about your snipers. They don't give a fuck about your tanks. They don't give a fuck about your carbines, your assault rifles, your body armor. They don't care. They don't care, because to them, you're gonna shoot them anyway. This isn't even. It started off as a race issue, but it's not even just a race issue anymore, because now it's just about like free speech and the right to observe and document what's going on. We got these journalists out there, and we had a cop go up to a journalist the other day, and he says, you don't turn your fucking light off, I'm going to shoot you. That's bullshit. That's That's Syria. That's Russia. That's not the United States of America, okay? This is what I expect Maliki's goons in ISIS to do over in Iraq. This isn't what I expect the police officers in my country, in the shining city on a hill, to do on a day-to-day basis. I mean, we got a black guy selling cigarettes on the street, which may have been illegal. Sure, he may have been a hustler, but to be choked to death? Hello? What do you guys, like, get off on jerking off on the Constitution? Is that what you're doing? Are you just sitting around in your offices and saying, hey, you know, posse camaradas, whatever, let's just give the cops a bunch of fucking assault guns and dress them up like in their army? I mean, I don't get it. Like, you guys don't care, and you think that, you know, revolution isn't a thing that's possible in the United States, or revolution isn't a thing that, you know, your cops can handle. And yet in 1775, I'm sure the British were like, yeah, well, these guys are in check, nothing's gonna happen, you know. The French aristocracy in Paris were probably chilling in the late 1770s. I don't have my year absolutely accurate. I think it was 79 to 78 or something like that, 1778, when the mobs stormed the Bastille and killed the French king and queen. But, you know, before that, I'm sure they were sipping on wine and saying, "Oh, those fucking peasants, what are they gonna do?" You know, the Tsar in Russia in, you know, 1917 is probably chilling with his hot wife. You know, yo, I don't care about those mobs. You just stay away from that fucking Rasputin. You know, that was his concern. But they were dumb because they thought that they had everything under control, and their way to use, the way that they tried to control it was to aggravate the mob by stepping on them and shooting them and running them over. It doesn't work. I mean, this is a historical fact. The more that the authorities try to push the little guy, the more and more little guys get angry, and then they'll kill a little guy, or they'll kill dozens, or they'll kill hundreds of little guys. But for every little guy that they kill, it's like martyrdom. You know, when we watch this, we've seen this in Iraq. This isn't an ancient thing. We have observed this in our lifetimes. I mean, I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I've grown up watching what happened in Iraq and what happened in Afghanistan and what is happening in Syria. This isn't like, I'm a high school dropout. I didn't even finish college. Hello? These people in the FBI and the CIA in Washington who are running police agencies are loads more educated, or supposedly loads more professional than I am, and yet they're making the same mistakes that every civilization in the last 5,000 years has made over and over and over and over and over again. And then they'll be like, yo, we're going to defend your freedom, and then we're going to send a bunch of National Guards to shoot you or threaten to shoot you for practicing your freedom of speech, for practicing your right to protest, for being a journalist. A light. If you don't turn that light off, we're going to shoot you. I'm sorry, but you know, you're asking for it. If you're in the FBI or the police or the CIA or any of those Homeland Security or authority figure agencies, you're asking for what's coming. When it comes, and you know it's coming, and you're trying to prepare for it, it's like you want the United States of America to be Ukraine. You want it. You're paying for it, and you think you're invulnerable, and you're not.